Welcome to the System to Success show. On this show, we'll cover the best growth advice from top CEOs in North America and beyond. On each episode, your host, Jay Crutchfield, he's a former software engineer turned entrepreneur, created and maintained online marketing, online sales, and fulfillment systems for global brands. He offers non-traditional wisdom about business systems mastery, while his guests share the story of how they built their companies. Jay and his guests talk entrepreneurship, digital marketing, strategy, and business principles. But they also talk about what it means to be human with all the ups and downs, advances, and setbacks. And what he does is he takes his information and strategies that has helped catapult global brands and brings that to the small business owner to give them that advantage. Make sure to subscribe and follow for more of these business system mastery principles.
Back at it again with part 2 of personal branding domination strategies. Lethia is at it again. She is ranked the number 8th in the world on personal branding. So I know she's going to continue to drop more gems. So get your pads out, get your pens out. If you're driving, you may want to pull over again for this and take notes, because I know she's going to drop some gems on you on personal branding strategies that can take your personal brand to the next level. So if you are an entrepreneur, or even if you are in a corporation, if you're looking to take that personal brand to the next level and be known as that go-to, tune in to this episode.
Choose a lane, and I had mentors who helped guide me through some questions that helped me to understand that my passion and interest was around helping people really look at their identity and how to package and really monetize who they are, monetizing their message and dominating their market and magnetically attracting their clients. All of those things were birthed out of the passion and interest and desire to master personal branding. And so I speak on personal branding in the corporate sector, and I speak on personal branding with entrepreneurs.
That's really interesting. Really interesting. First, you're speaking about just you going off of just your passion. And I remember at the beginning, you spoke about your insatiable desire, knowledge, and hunger for knowledge and just learning more. So I see now how you purchase all those books on Amazon on personal branding. So with that, you said you teach on personal branding both at the corporate side and also for entrepreneurs as well too. So can you talk about just some of the differences with the personal branding on the corporate side versus the entrepreneurial side?
Yeah, so in my book, Your Brand Influence, this book, there are 7 E's for building an influential personal brand. And so I walk people through the exploration of, who are you really, right? What is it that you really want to do with your career? And we look at the essence. Now, we talk about who you are. We also have to understand the essence of who you are. We're looking at things that really help shape how you show up at work every day. Taking a look at how you build on who you are and what you know, and the mastery of your expertise, right? And how eloquently you can communicate your value in the marketplace, and then evaluating, the impact that you have in the marketplace. When we go through these various E's, we end up really really assessing and exploring who we are, and then really begin to package who we are in a way that makes us valuable in the marketplace. With the entrepreneurial side, I have the magnetic brand framework, which really goes back to helping you understand how your life's journey and your experiences and expertise can be packaged and monetized to help you build a business. And so we're looking at things like your demographics. Who are your demographics? Who are the people that you're called to work with and to speak to and to serve, right? You have to be crystal clear on who that is. Because when I was speaking to everyone, right, for example, on the corporate side, I'm even further niching down because I want to become known as the personal branding expert for IT professionals, not just corporate professionals anymore. I used to really, go after, I would be at Boeing one week and then IRS the next week and then, Anheuser-Busch and then Monsanto. And I would be at, different companies in different sectors. And that was all great. But I'm now developing a unique language to speak to how IT professionals are really wired. And so my messaging when I'm speaking to everyone on personal branding is less powerful than when I'm speaking to an IT professional who really may not be all that social, who is just very focused on getting the work done. They love to answer the question why and how. And their emails are typically short and to the point and not filled with a lot of fluff. They're not the ones usually walking around the office with a coffee cup. Well, Jay, how are you doing today? They're not going to spend 20 minutes, talking to you about what you did this weekend. Now there are, I'm generalizing, but there are definitely some people like me who stand out in an IT environment, right? But a lot of people who are coders or analysts, they have some tendencies that makes it more difficult for them to brand themselves. So my thought is, if I can figure out how to help those individuals do that well, guess who's going to become the sought out speaker at IT conferences across the nation? Me, right? So when I get in my inbox, my Google alerts for call for speakers, conferences that are looking for speakers, 90% of them are IT conferences. So I'm like, it only makes sense. I have an IT background. I love IT professionals. Why not become the branding, connoisseur in the IT space? So now when I send an email out and I can use words like, iterative development, I can use words like, IT and, object-oriented, like give examples and use analogies that are pulled from things that they would relate to and understand, and so that is turning out to be a lot of fun. I'm still in the process of shifting that as well. Everything should be done by the end of this year, but I'm really excited. Like my 2019 is going to be, I think, really amazing. I've done my TED Talk. That's going to be used to market my corporate speaking. I have my new book, a revised version of my book, Your Brand Influence, and working on some new stuff to be able to offer them. And I just want to do that maybe once a month, go out and speak to the corporate sector, but spend most of my time focusing on the faith-based community of entrepreneurs.
Okay. So as you spoke some of those techie words, my antennas were up in the air relating to some of those words too. So yeah, object-oriented, iterative development. Yeah, so I hear you. I hear you. And I can attest, yeah, I know a lot of software IT folks that are straight. They're not really social as well. So
Absolutely.
I hear what you're saying. Yes.
And they need help with personal branding.
Right.
They're trying to figure out, like, how do I do this and do this well? How do I navigate the organization and manage my own career and not depend on someone else to do that? How do I build a brand so that the organizational leaders know my value, right? And they need help with that. And I'm excited to be the one to help them.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting. Definitely have to talk some more to you about that later on.
Okay.
So also, so Lethia, how would just a beginning speaker that they're used to going out and doing a lot of different free speeches, how do they start to, or what questions do they ask themselves to help them to narrow down on a niche to focus on?
Yeah, I think it goes back to, what do they either have a mastery level knowledge of and a passion for, right? And when they look at those areas, then they have to ask, okay, of the things that I'm passionate about and have a mastery level knowledge base on, what is the market interested in? And if they can look at those three things and find the intersection, they'll find the sweet spot that will allow them to basically have a lucrative career as a professional speaker. I'm a CSP, Certified Speaking Professional. It's the highest earned designation that you can receive as part of the National Speakers Association. And that just basically sets the bar, and it says to the world, hey, this person is a full-time professional speaker. They've earned, you have to prove you've earned over $250,000 in revenue. You have to present a video that your peers will review and grade. And so you have to hit a certain grade, and they will reach out to 20 of the clients that you put on this long list of people that you've worked with. They'll randomly just pick 20 clients, and you have to score a certain level from their feedback. And these may be people that you spoke to like one time back in 1922, right? And you're like, oh my God, I hope they even remember me, But as a CSP, it just shows that, I've demonstrated certain accomplishments and qualities of a professional speaker. But I think if a person can really look at mastery, if they could really look at their passion and then what the market is interested in, they'll find their sweet spot as it relates to speaking.
Okay. So making sure they have the mastery part, becoming an expert, and know exactly where the market is going and what the market is looking for, and then have a passion about what they're doing.
I mean, I had a woman who told me she had a passion, around her dog. And I was like, okay. Okay. And so what do you really know how to do well? Well, I love making art. I don't know how many people are paying $5,000, $10,000 to have a speaker come and speak about dog art, right? So I was like, So the more we dug and the more we, connected, we discovered that although she has a passion for making art, like she would make art that goes on dog collars and things of that nature, she also had some knowledge around not just like training your dog, but how to select a dog that is perfect for your family, right? And so while she probably won't get paid $5,000 to go in to speak, she is speaking now at, the $100 to $500, which for what she's doing, she's retired, to get $500 every time she gets to go out and talk about her dogs and what she loves to do. That's great for her. So she gets 3 gigs a month, 4 gigs a month. That's $2,000 for her. For her, she's like, it's raining money, right? That's what she feels. But depending upon what your target is, who your target is, and what your topic is, that will also dictate the fee that you can charge as well.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I know I've watched you online for some time as well too, and I see you have just different things that ways and strategies that you go about even promoting products and events and things like that. So what, as a new speaker, aspiring speaker, what's some as you mentioned, some baby steps that a person can take after they feel they have some mastery about some things, and they want to start to promote themselves online as an expert?
Yeah, so I really think that they need to make sure their brand is rock solid, because you can't promote, if you promote and your brand's not rock solid, you're just promoting noise, right? And you also have to have a system where you can monetize the attraction. So if you're out there and you're saying something that's really powerful, but you don't have a way to monetize and or bring people into your sales cycle, then you're out there promoting with no way to make money, right? So it's important that you have a powerful brand. And those really are the steps in my system. To think like a game changer, you have to have the audacity to really go after what you want. And then you have to brand your brilliance, really package it. And I have an event coming up in September called Brand Your Brilliance, where 3 days and basically walk people framework, and we'll walk through their what, their why, their brand story, their divine client, and name them, their keywords for their brand archetypes, and we finish it off with something that's extremely important, which is their signature system. So I think people, organizations that hire me anyway, they're no longer really booking speakers. They're looking for experts who speak and who coach or who write books, right? They're looking for an expert to hire to come in, not just a speaker. And so if you have a signature system, like I have the 7 E's of building an influential personal brand, that is a signature system that I can speak on it. If they want me to coach, I could coach someone on it. If I wrote a book on it, right? So whether it's a book, writing, whether it's coaching or whether it's speaking, I have a system that I can go in and talk about and teach that is proprietary. On the entrepreneurial side, I have my 4-step process, my game changer process, which is think like a game changer, brand your brilliance, monetize your message, and dominate your market. So we build out their signature system so that they know, hey, these look like, as a speaker on the entrepreneurial side, I don't care who you are. If you book me to speak, you're going to get one of those 4 topics. Or all 4, right? I'm either going to speak on the mindset of a game changer, I'm going to speak on branding your brilliance, or monetizing your message, or dominating your market. That's all I speak on, right? That's because I'm a master at that. And so I don't have to now focus on trying to learn all these other things that aren't in my lane. I just focus on, I go to classes, I go to conferences, I read, I study in my lane so I can keep my mastery level status. And so we help our clients really figure out what is their signature system. And that probably is one of the most affordable programs that I have, and one of the most powerful, because there's also time for masterminding. There's also time for reflection and prayer, and for them to do the work while they're there. So they don't leave with just all this learning. They actually leave having worked through the process and recorded their brand. They branded their brilliance while they're there. So I think it's important for people to kind of understand that signature system when they're looking at really building a speaking or coaching practice, because you want to be able to speak a specific language, know your keywords, your brand keywords. What is your language? What are the words you use, and how you say things that make people recognize you in the marketplace, where people, say, oh my God, if I said, you got to be hungry. If I said that, people are going to say, oh, she know Les Brown, right? They're not going to say, oh, Lethia, that was cool. They're going to say, girl, you know Les Brown, because Les Brown's known for that. If I said, I've only got a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it is up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but an eternity is in it. If I say that, guess what? People aren't really thinking about the author of the poem. They're thinking, Willie Jolly. That's how Willie Jolly starts all his speaking engagements, right? So Willie Jolly and Les Brown have so masterfully identified words that are associated with their brand, so that when people hear those words or phrases, they immediately think of them, right? Shift, baby, shift. That's Simon T. Bailey, right? So my clients, I teach them, develop a language that when you use it, like, I greet my tribe as beloved. Hi, beloved. Goodbye, beloved. See you next time, beloved. What's going on, beloved? They are my beloveds because I am called to serve them. Right? And they are game changers and beloved are the 2 phrases I use for my tribe. So, I'm developing my own unique language that the market will, as I keep using it, will begin to identify with me. And people will say, oh, if you say be who you are on purpose and without apology, you probably know Lethia Owens, because they would have heard me say it. If you hear somebody saying your clients have been predestined to work with you before the foundation of the world was ever created, that's me. Somebody else may say it, but they're copying what I said, because that's me, right? So yeah, I think it's important for people to have, their signature system, their branded keywords, and that whole brand framework, that magnetic branding framework that I talked about.
Wow. So on that note too, just so folks know and understand just the definition, your definition, what is your definition of branding?
So basically, your brand is made up of the thoughts, the feelings, and the ideas that people hold in their mind and their heart about who you are. So it's basically it's the characteristics that they identify with you, right? And if they understand those characteristics and they become acquainted with you and those characteristics, if they're in alignment with how that person thinks, feels, or with their belief system, then there's going to become an attraction to you. They're going to have an affinity towards you. And it's easier to influence people to take the next step in action, to buy or to enroll or to share or to, read a blog post or whatever your call to action is. It's easier to get people to take the call to action or to take the action when they have an affinity with you. So branding really is about creating or holding equity in someone's mind and heart, so that they really become connected to and attracted to, and in some cases loyal to your brand. Like, I am an Apple girl, ride or die. Even though there's been some challenges with some of the products in the last few years, I'm still an Apple girl, ride or die. I have a MacBook Pro, I have an iMac, I have an iPhone, I have an iPod somewhere around here, I have an iPad, or I have an everything. I have an Apple TV. So I'm really a true diehard, ride or die Apple girl, because I so identify with that brand. The sleekness and how smart their devices are. The fact that, if I trip on my cord, it doesn't yank my computer onto the floor. It magnetically just disconnects, right? Because there's a magnet that attaches my power cord to my computer, not a socket that could force my computer to fall off the table if I were to kick my cord. Little stuff like that matters to me. It means a lot to me. And I love how they think, because it's so in alignment with how I think and who I am. And so when you share who you are authentically, and when you're vulnerable to at an appropriate level with the people that you are connecting with in the marketplace, it will create an attraction and a magnetism that will allow you to influence them and to help change their lives through the work that you do. And so that's why it's really important to me that people have a strong and powerful magnetic brand.
So you spoke about one of the brands that really has your heart, Apple, and how they must be incorporating what you mentioned, having that rock solid brand. So what's some of the, I guess, the things that or tips or things that stand out in your mind about brands that are rock solid?
Brands that are rock solid, they know who they are. Like, I mean, they aren't trying to be someone else. They know exactly who they are. Volvo is not trying to be a Porsche. Volvo is focused on safety, and they're trying to be the best at that niche, right? And so I think it's important for people to know who they really are as a brand. I think also strong brands are always testing the waters to make sure that they're relevant, that their message still is relatable and or desirable to the market in the marketplace. And I also think that strong brands are audacious, and that they are willing to do what no one else is willing to do. Steve Jobs says, he calls it the foolish ones, right? I call it being insanely inspired, meaning that you're so inspired that your friends think your ideas are crazy and just insane, right? But to be so committed to your belief of what you're doing that to other people it sounds crazy, it sounds insane. I remember being a high school dropout. I told my mother and my family that I wanted to start a business when I was 18. And they were like, look, you got a scholarship to go to college. Nobody expects you to go to college, but you just sit down somewhere and stop trying to do too much. And me speaking of owning a business when we lived in the hood and we could barely afford to pay attention was just nonsense. Like, my family could not understand and fathom what I was talking about. But a year later, my mother was making $100 an hour blowing up balloons. I hired her for one of my gigs at Procter & Gamble, and she's like, "Ooh, honey, I'm so glad you didn't listen to me." Oh, I'm so proud of you, right? But initially I couldn't, after I realized that my mother couldn't see my vision and hold it and hold space for me, I had to stop talking to her about what my dream and my vision was, because to her it sounded insane. And sometimes it does, but even if it does, we have to be true to who we really are and what we feel like we're called to do and what we're put on this earth to do. And we have seasons. Realize, like, the things that I did and the businesses I had back then aren't the businesses that I have today. I believe that those were preparing me for where I am today. I believe that what I'm doing today is the very reason why I was given breath and life. This is the purpose for which I was created. Those other businesses that I did and the other things I did, those were preparatory, businesses. Those businesses and those stages prepared me for this moment. But this very moment is the moment for which I was created.
So all of the things that you've gone through, experiences, life experiences, business experiences, prepared you for now, the here and now. And so with that, as you gained this experience, you saw some things that didn't work and things that did work as far as relates to marketing and branding online. And so could you talk about some of the things that you see out there, is even with just different systems that people are using out there that may not be working for them, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm. That's a hard question because I don't focus a lot on what's not working. But what I will say is, I'll just take a content management system. It's important. It's hard for me to focus on what's not working, but I'll say it this way. It's important to make sure your system allows for tagging, because a lot of systems that people are using don't allow you to tag customers and contacts. They just have you create multiple lists. That's an old way of thinking about managing your contacts. You want to look at a contact in your database. Let's see. And think of each important characteristic or note that you want to save about them. For example, this person may have come onto your list through an event. So they may have an event tag called Brand Your Brilliance Event. And then that person may have expressed interest in learning more about market domination because they downloaded a free offer that you had, a free lead magnet that you had focused on marketing and dominating your market. So now they got the tag Dominate Your Market and Brand Your Brilliance Event, right? So now you can do searches and say, I want to see everybody in my system that's come to an event, and you look for that tag, and then every one of your system who's been to an event or that particular event, you can bring them back in a report and start making intelligent decisions about how to connect with them and how to engage with them, because you know that that person attended an event. So now you can send an email that says something like, it's funny how life happens. After you attend an event and you're really crystal clear on what you're going to do to shift your business, and then you get back home and life happens. Well, if I just send that out to everybody on my list, I can't say something that's specific because not everybody on my list has been to my event, right? So it's important to make sure you're using a system for managing your contacts and your email marketing that allows you to tag people. So I'll say that. That's probably one of the most, that's something important that I think that people should look at. And I think people should, on social media, it's gone are the days where you can just push, buy my this, buy my that. Social media really is about being social, and people who make connections and build relationships do far better than people who are hawking their wares. So I just encourage people not to focus so much on trying to sell on social media, but try to connect with people. And the people that you connect with, if there is resonance between the two of you, they will then sign up on your list. They'll find out how to, if you're making it easy, they'll find out how to become a subscriber to your YouTube channel or your newsletter, or or your email system, because they value what it is that you have to offer. I think gone are the days where you have a large list but few engaged people. I'd much rather have a 2,000 person list or 5,000 person list instead of a 20,000 person list, when the 20,000 people really aren't paying attention to what I'm saying or doing. And so I think that that's more important. And so placing more emphasis on building a quality list than a large list, I think is the way to do it.
That makes sense. That makes sense, especially when you spoke about just some of the integrated ways some of these systems out there, CRM systems, are still making you create multiple, less duplicate contacts. And so it sounds like you're saying the best way is to make sure that you basically have descriptions for people to be able to identify them easily and searchably, for how they came about, how you guys connected through once or multiple times.
So I have a list of my corporate contacts, and then in that, are they a leader or they're a non-leader, right? So if I'm trying to get you to book me to come speak at your event and to come into your company, I'm not going to send a non-leader that email, because they probably don't have the authority to write a check to bring me in. But if they're a leader, they may have influence. Either they have the authority or influence with an authoritative person to write a check to bring me in to speak.
Okay. Yeah, that really makes sense. Well, Lethia, this has been a fun time getting to talk to you more just about all your experiences and all those great stories and the Walkman stories of you listening to all the suffixes and the prefixes of words. So thank you for sharing that with us. So definitely a fun time. Now, Lethia, for those that want to connect with you and find out more about your resources, where can they go?
They can always go to lethiaowens.com to learn more about me and what I'm doing. But also, I want to let your audience know about the Brand Your Brilliance live.com website. That's where people who are interested in branding, learning how to really build a magnetic brand, they can go there and learn more about working with me and building out their brand.
Okay, great. So make sure you go to Lethia's website, and especially on the brandyourbrilliance.com.
Brand Your Brilliance Live.
Brand Your Brilliance Live. Thank you for that. .com. So make sure that you learn about being able to magnetize the people that you desire and be the unique, authentic you to attract the people that you're desiring. So Lethia, thank you again so much for being a part of this, and really enjoyed the conversation with you.
Wonderful. My pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to share with your community.
Yes. Awesome. Well, you have a fantastic day. Thank you, Lethia.
All right. No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.